Welcome to the Polytopian Interviewer, where I interview people on their experiences and views on the Polytopia Discord community. I have Ramano with me today. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So, first question. How did you first get into Polytopia and find out about the communities on Discord?
I live in Europe, in the Netherlands, and in the summer of 2019, I was backpacking through Japan with my family. They were looking for a game to do a sort of pass and play when we were in a train or traveling for an entire day or something. So then my daughter found this game. Then we enjoyed it during the holiday. I was looking to find some online players to compete with when we got home. Went to Reddit, but then, it was a bit anonymous there. I found Discord, and I think that's a great way to meet nice opponents.
Mm-hmm. So through the Reddit was how you found Polychamps in Maine?
Yeah, not just browsing online, trying to find places, communities to find opponents to play against. And then I think Discord was the best one.
What was your first thoughts of Discord? Were you exposed to it first before Polytopia?
No, it was completely new to me. My kids, they had experience, so they could explain a couple of things. Later, I got in contact with Seagull, the Sparky's team leader, and he explained how everything works on the main and Polychampion server to set up games, etc.
Okay. So is that how you joined the Sparkies? With a Sparky helping you out?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Seagull is very helpful and friendly. Always happy to show me how things are done. After a couple of recruiting games, he asked me to join, so I was very happy to.
That's cool. How do you go on recruiting a player for the Sparkies?
Starting point is sometimes a bit different. Sometimes we hear about the player or somebody recommends somebody, or we see in the Nova games that somebody is talented. So when I have a name or a candidate, then I invite them to a recruiting game. Could be a 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3. Then I play with 2 Novas. Then we just play the game, and then I focus mostly on communication. So whether they share screenshots and are willing to discuss their turns up front.
Mm-hmm.
Most important for me is that they like the game and that they want to have fun.
Yeah, actually communicating and enjoying themselves. Two very important parts of the equation.
Yep.
What's the Tiny Tourney in Polychamps?
That was a tournament that we started in December 2019, so already quite a while ago. And we thought, let's do a quick tournament on a tiny map with quick games, 2 versus 2. But in the end, it took till, I think, August or September before we really played the final games. It was in total 12 rounds. So it was funny in the end that we planned to do a quick tournament, which took like 8 months. But in the end, I was very happy with how it all went, and the format, which I designed, worked very well. It was a triple elimination, so you could still lose 2 games and you would still be in the tournament. And once a team lost their 3rd game, then they were knocked out. In the end, it took 12 rounds to get all the teams except 2 kicked out, and then we played the final best of 3.
So it's not really similar to the bullet tournament then? Just tiny map is the same?
Yeah, actually really like that. But the bullet tournament is knockout, so as soon as you lose 1 game, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it's also on tiny map, same as bullet. But then you do get 24 hours to play your turn. We did tiny tournament was 2 versus 2, so it was also a team.
Mm-hmm. What was it like competing in the Season 6 finals in Polychamps and winning against the Jets?
Actually, in the finals, I think I played 1 game 3 versus 3 where I actually lost. But luckily, my teammates won the other 2 games. I think biggest success for me was in the semifinals, where I played with Thomas and we had a very close game where we managed to turn it around from being behind to actually winning. So I was very proud of that. And it was, of course, important to win the semifinals to reach the final.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very nice to be able to play on such good teammates and good opponents.
Yeah, and the Jets is one of the highest competing teams on the whole server, if not the
Yeah,
most competitive.
yeah, they definitely used to be. Lately, they're doing a little bit less, but it's indeed a very good and hard to beat team.
Mm-hmm. What is the Liga Rex champion role about?
Okay, that was another tournament which actually inspired me to start Tiny Tournament because I thought maybe we can do better than the Liga Rex tournament. The interesting thing there was that it were teams of 5 or 6 players, and in total there were 16 teams, I believe, competing. So you all had to play a couple of games against each other, and then round robin. So a lot of games needed to be played. It took forever, and a lot of teams dropped out halfway, and the organizers dropped out, and new people picked it up. So it was very chaotic, and actually took too long. So in the end, they decided to stop halfway after one time playing each of the other teams. And I was very lucky to be in a very good team. I think New Phoenix was in there as well, and Fopo. And I was still a Nova at the time, so I was happy that they added me to the team. We played all the 15 other teams. We ended up on top, so that was very nice.
Yeah, 5v5 and 6v6 games can take quite a while.
There were 2 first, 2 and 3 first of 3, so you had to then select out of the 6 players of your team, 2 or 3 to play against the other team.
Okay.
I think there were mostly 2 versus 2, actually. So every time it was each team at 6 players, so 3 pros and 3 juniors, or Novas as well. And then for every meetup, you had to select 2 players to play the other team.
Okay. I take it you play in a lot of tournaments then?
Well, one of my hobbies next to Polytopia is designing tournament schedules. So I'm always happy to also join and learn and see how a format works or not. So see if I can learn something from it and use something in the tournaments I organize myself.
Okay. Yeah, I know Disco is a fan of making tournaments as well. He sometimes makes tournaments on the server-friendly Polytopia.
Then maybe I'll get in touch with him, see what he thinks about the ideas we have for the Tiny Tournament version 2. Maybe he can help out a bit.
How come in your team you're only a junior player with a total of 22 finished season games?
Of course, I started as a junior, and then I think in season 6 I played some games in the semi-final and the final. But I actually prefer playing in the junior league, as I think then it takes a bit less time for me. I have a lot of games and things going on, so playing in the pro league really takes a lot of your time to prepare every move and discuss it thoroughly. So yeah, I'm happy to play with the pups and also to teach the other juniors a couple of things. Yeah, I'm always open, so if they need anybody in the pro team, I'm always happy to help out.
Okay. How did you find out about the Giants League?
I think it was because I was asked to play a recruiting game with 2 guys from Canada, Goulord and MP Huo. And they were actually the 2 people who were organizing the Giants League on Facebook. So that's how I got in touch with them. Then I also joined the Facebook Giants League and even became also a moderator there. And then after that, they started the Giants League also on Discord. That's one of my favorite formats. I like being on a pretty crowded map. So this is like 8 players. So I also like the format of being able to promote to a higher league or relegate to a lower league. So you end up with players of the same skill level.
You've competed in 3 different Giants League divisions. What was some of your experiences in it?
I actually was very happy to end up in the top divisions in both Facebook and the Discord League. Unfortunately, this season I relegated from the Facebook one, but in Discord I'm still in the top league. I like the format that you end up with better players the more you go up. So now in the top division, it's really hard. So you really see a different level of play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very nice.
Yeah, it can take quite a bit of time, but the payout is also increased a lot as well.
Yeah, of course, if you manage to beat a couple of really good players, that feels really good indeed.
What are some of your tasks and responsibilities as a director in Polytopia, Maine?
The way I've got that director role is that we organized a tournament during the summer last year, the summer skirmish it was called. So we originally got together with a group of people and thought of a new format of a tournament on Maine. And then Zoe also got involved from Michi1, and he offered to make an announcement in the game, in the news for the tournament that we were organizing. Then it exploded a bit. So we were thinking about 200-300 participants, but after the announcement in the game, we ended up with more than 700 people joining.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a very big team, I think around 10 directors who were helping all the players out with questions and making sure their results were processed okay, and they got new games after they finished their game. And I think in the end also it was very successful, as we also managed to wrap it up in like 5 or 6 weeks. So it didn't take like the 8 or 9 months like the tiny tournament.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the biggest issues for having a Polytopia tournament that can drag on with people not doing their turns or silence from a division.
Yeah, so I think that's also a nice challenge to see how you can design it in a way that it is fair for everybody, but doesn't take forever.
I joined the summer skirmish, except I was fairly new to the community, so I had no idea how to get in contact with the people I was supposed to play with or what was going on at all. So I can say I participated, but I didn't technically play any games.
Well, I think there were like 1,100 people who signed up, and then like 750 or so actually completed the games.
Mm-hmm.
You were not the only one who didn't manage to, but I think one of the goals for Mijuan also was to grow the Discord community, to get a lot of people playing games there. I see a lot of people who are very active, even on Discord, who first got in contact through the Summer Skirmish tournament.
Your ELO is already over 1,200 despite the recent ELO reset. I take it you play a lot of ranked games?
Yeah, I do play a lot of games at the same time. That's also one of the reasons I like to play. And I think the reason why I got pretty high ELO is that I played a lot of recruiting games in the past. So then I usually host and pick looks, and that of course gave an advantage. And I played with a lot of very strong players. Thomas, for example, from Sparkies, I played a lot with. He's really good, so I learned a lot from him. Recently, I'm playing some with Ian from Ronin, and in the past, I played with Leo Madrid and Inter on the main server. So it's also the teammates you find which you can play with. And I think that's one of the lessons I learned, that I first find a teammate and then I join a game, not the other way around, because otherwise you might end up with somebody who's completely not communicating or even resigns halfway, and that could make you lose a lot of ELO ranking points.
Or better yet, they treat you as a hostile entity.
Yeah, also one of the game types I like, I don't see it that often anymore, but it's like 1 against 11. I think that happened before Moonrise a lot. And then out of the 11 players, usually 3 or 4 go rogue, so they start attacking their teammates. And 3 or 4 turn bots, so they leave early. So then you end up with like 3 players having to fight the rogue players, the bots, and then in the end, the player which is your actual opponent. So that's really funny indeed.
Yeah. With Moonrise, there's like 1v14s now and 1v15s.
Yeah, but then you have to really make sure that the opponents or the big team, they can only select the lesser tribes. But I think, yeah, it's more difficult now to do than pre-Moonrise.
Yeah, especially with tribe mirroring.
Yeah, exactly.
Shall we move on to some general questions?
Okay.
What's your favorite tribe?
Looking at winning games, I prefer to pick Lux if they're available. I think they're pretty OP. And besides that, I really like Ellie Ryan. I also pick them quite often.
Yeah, and recently they decided to give polytours not have population spaces anymore.
Yeah, that really helped. And I think the Poly push is also improved now.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I kind of miss that specific push order because then I can plan exactly how to do like a unit push. But yeah, I agree the new one is better to a degree.
Yeah, but now you also know it mostly goes towards the center of the map if that
Mm-hmm.
tile is free. So you can predict it in a way.
Do you have a least favorite tribe?
I think that's Polaris.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't have a lot of experience with them. And then I find it always pretty tough to play against them.
Hmm. Maybe you should try being them sometimes. It takes a bit of getting used to, like the new Samanti tribe.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think if I would play Polaris myself more, then I would start to like them better. I think they're very strong. I think so. It's pretty tough to fight against the Gamis as they're freezing everything every step they take.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite unit?
Yeah, what I like is the Knights. I think they're very strong, and if you can plan it well, they can really make a good chain of kills. I think that's one of the challenges I like to really map it out so you can really actually turn a game around with a couple of good knight attacks.
Especially if they're surprise attacks.
Yeah, so if you can keep them in the fog and then move them in fast with a lot of roads, it's really strong.
Yeah, one time I was playing a Bard versus Imperious. I was Imperious. I was playing against one of my trainings, and I wasn't doing so well because the resource and all the attacks I needed. He came in with a bunch of catapults, and I'm like, guess it's time to attempt to try to surprise them with a knight, because otherwise I'm dead. And I managed to take out like four of his catapults in one shot, and I managed to push back. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Especially against catapults, really strong.
Hmm. Do you have a favorite strategy?
Yeah, well, I think it's always nice to see if you can make the difference by coordinating with your teammate or teammates. So I think if you align things properly, then you can really make a difference if you're playing against a team who are more playing by themselves. So I think I'm always looking, can we meet and exchange attacks in a smart way, for example, or can we cannibalize in a smart way? Yeah, I like to see to make an advantage by team play.
Hmm. What's the most memorable game you ever played?
Think was a game that was 6 teams of 2 players, and I was Ellie Ryan, and then I got a fantastic start where I could throw an explorer out on D0, and it gave me so many attacks and stars that I wiped out all the other opponents one by one. That was really nice.
It's hard to do, but once you do manage to pull that off, it's really nice.
Yeah, so in the end they all teamed up against me, but still managed to beat them.
Sometimes that's how it is for free for alls. You're doing pretty well, then everybody teams up against you, and you may or may not survive.
Yeah.
How many Polytopia servers would you consider yourself active in?
Mostly on Poly Champion, so that's one. Then I play some games on main, also sometimes see if I can find some new talents to recruit and invite to Poly Champions. Then I am active in the Giants League server. And one I also like very much, I like to recommend is the Poly Ladder. That also has a very nice way to grow to higher levels when you win games and play against stronger opponents.
Hmm.
So I think those are the ones I'm active on.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the Polytopia fandom as a whole?
And I think it's the fact in Poly Champions that everybody's helping each other, making sure people are getting better and improving. So I think the way the whole community is always out to help each other, I think that's really great to see.
Mm-hmm. That's all the questions I had.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot then.
Yeah, thanks to you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. As always, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, feel free to share it. For the text version, you can join my Discord in the description. I also have a YouTube channel where I play 1v1s and occasionally do tutorials. We'll be back next week. Bye!